Welcome back to English So-So Podcast. I'm Sam.
And I'm Jordan. Today we're diving into something that, honestly, still makes my palms sweaty just thinking about it.
Oh no, what are we talking about? Wait, let me guess. That terrifying moment when someone speaks to you in English and your brain just goes completely blank?
Yes, you know exactly what you want to say in your head. You've practiced it a million times, but the moment a real conversation starts, your mind becomes this empty void.
It's like all your English knowledge just disappears. You stand there like, I know I speak English. I think I speak English. Do I speak English?
Exactly. So today's episode is English anxiety. Why your brain goes completely blank in conversations and what to do about it. If you've ever felt like your brain betrays you the moment someone starts talking to you in English, this one's for you.
Before we get started, quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. We're tackling the real psychological barriers that hold English learners back, one episode at a time.
All right, so let me start with a story that I'm slightly embarrassed to share, but it perfectly illustrates what we're talking about today.
Oh, story time. I'm ready for this.
Okay, so this was maybe 3 years ago. I was at a coffee shop, confidently ordering in English. I had practiced this exact conversation probably 50 times. I walk up to the counter, feeling good, and the barista says, "Hi, how's your day going?"
Oh no, that wasn't part of your practiced script, was it?
Not at all. My brain just froze. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, mouth opening and closing like a fish. Finally, I mumbled, "Coffee, please," and completely ignored her question.
Oh, Jordan. But honestly, I think every English learner has been there. You prepare for one conversation and get thrown a completely different curveball.
Exactly. And the worst part was, I knew how to answer that question. If someone had asked me in a relaxed setting, I could have had a normal conversation. But something about the pressure of the moment just shut down my brain completely.
This is such a perfect example of English anxiety in action. Your knowledge was there, but your brain couldn't access it under pressure.
Right. So let's break down why this happens. Why do our brains go completely blank even when we know the English?
I think the first big reason is what psychologists call cognitive overload. When you're anxious, your brain is trying to do too many things at once.
Explain that more. What do you mean by too many things at once?
So, when you're having a conversation in English, your brain is simultaneously trying to understand what the other person said, translate it if necessary, formulate a response, check that response for grammar mistakes, worry about your pronunciation, read the other person's body language, and manage your anxiety about all of this.
That's exhausting. No wonder our brains just give up and go blank.
Exactly. It's like trying to run 10 different apps on your phone at the same time. Eventually, the whole system crashes.
And here's what makes it worse. The moment you realize your brain has gone blank, you panic, which creates even more cognitive load.
Yes, it becomes this vicious cycle. You blank out, then you start thinking, oh no, I'm blanking out. They must think I'm stupid. What if I can't recover from this? And that just makes the blankness worse.
I call it the blank spiral. Once you start going down that mental rabbit hole, it's really hard to get back to the actual conversation.
The second big reason for brain blanks is what I call performance anxiety. We treat every English conversation like we're on stage being judged.
Ooh, this is huge. Explain this more.
So instead of thinking, I'm going to communicate with this person, we think, I need to prove that my English is good enough. We're not having a conversation. We're giving a performance.
And the pressure of performing perfectly makes us freeze up like that. It's like stage fright, but for everyday conversations.
Exactly. And the crazy thing is, most people aren't judging your English nearly as harshly as you think they are. They just want to communicate with you.
Right, but our anxiety brain doesn't believe that. It's convinced that everyone is a grammar teacher with a red pen waiting to mark our mistakes. The third reason, and this one really hit home for me, We often blank out because we're trying to say something perfectly instead of just saying something.
What do you mean by that?
So you know how sometimes you have a thought, and there's a really simple way to express it, but your brain insists on finding the perfect or most sophisticated way to say it.
Oh my God, yes. Like, I want to say I'm tired, but my brain is searching for I'm experiencing fatigue or something unnecessarily complex.
Exactly. And while you're searching for that perfect phrase, the conversation moves on and you've missed your chance to contribute naturally.
This happens to me all the time. I'll have a perfectly good response in mind, but then I think, wait, is there a better way to say this? And by the time I've deliberated, the moment has passed.
And then you feel even worse because not only did you not say the perfect thing, you didn't say anything at all.
Okay, so we've identified why our brains go completely blank. Now the important question, what do we actually do about it?
Great question. Strategy number 1, and this is going to sound simple, but it's incredibly effective. Have a few emergency phrases ready to go.
Emergency phrases? Like what?
These are simple, versatile responses that can buy you time to think when your brain goes blank. Things like, "That's interesting. I see what you mean. Let me think about that for a second."
Oh, that's brilliant. So instead of standing there in silence while your brain reboots, you have something to say that keeps the conversation flowing.
Exactly. And the beauty is, these phrases work in almost any context. Someone tells you about their weekend. That sounds nice. Someone explains a complex concept. That's interesting. Let me think about that for a bit.
It's like having a social safety net. It's like even if your main response system fails, you have backup options.
And here's the psychological trick. Once you use one of these emergency phrases, it often gives your brain just enough time to recover and access your actual English knowledge. Strategy number 2, and this one changed everything for me, practice what I call imperfect responses in low-pressure situations.
What do you mean by imperfect responses?
So, most of us practice English by rehearsing perfect sentences in our heads. But real conversations are messy and unpredictable. We need to practice being okay with messy responses.
Oh, I love this. Like deliberately saying things in a simple or imperfect way instead of searching for the ideal phrase.
Exactly. If someone asks about your day and your brain starts searching for the perfect response, just say, "Pretty good," or "kind of busy," instead of crafting an eloquent summary.
This is so important because it trains your brain that communication doesn't have to be perfect to be effective. And the more you practice imperfect but functional responses, the less likely you are to blank out completely.
Plus, simple responses often sound more natural anyway. "Pretty good, you?" sounds much more conversational than, "My day has been quite productive and fulfilling. Thank you for inquiring."
Yes. Strategy number 3, and this one really hit home for me. Learn to recognize and interrupt the panic spiral before it takes over.
The panic spiral. Tell us more about how to catch it early.
So the moment you feel your brain starting to go blank, instead of panicking about it, acknowledge it calmly. Mentally tell yourself, oh, I'm having a blank moment. That's normal and okay.
Ooh, so you're interrupting the secondary anxiety, the anxiety about being anxious.
Exactly, because often the initial blank is just a few seconds, but our panic about the blank is what makes it last longer.
And you can even acknowledge it out loud if you need to. Saying something like, "Sorry, give me just a second to think," is totally normal and acceptable.
Yes, most people are very understanding when you ask for a moment to collect your thoughts.
Right. They'd rather wait a few seconds for a genuine response than have you struggle in silence. Strategy number 4, and this one changed everything for me, shift your focus from "what should I say" to "what do I want to communicate."
Ooh, explain that difference.
So when we're focused on "what should I say," we're thinking about language and performance. But when we focus on "what do I want to communicate," we're thinking about meaning and connection.
That's such a subtle but important shift. One puts pressure on your English skills, the other focuses on your actual thoughts and feelings.
Exactly. And your brain is much better at accessing thoughts and feelings than it is at performing language under pressure.
So if someone asks, "How was your weekend?" instead of thinking, "What's the perfect way to describe my weekend in English?" you think, "What's the main thing I want them to know about my weekend?"
Yes, maybe you want them to know it was relaxing, or busy, or fun. Once you identify that core message, finding words becomes much easier.
This approach also makes your responses sound more authentic because you're speaking from genuine thoughts rather than trying to construct perfect sentences.
Let's talk about some specific situations where people commonly experience brain blanks and how to handle them.
Good idea. First situation, unexpected questions. Like my coffee shop story, when someone asks something you weren't prepared for.
For unexpected questions, the emergency phrases we talked about earlier are perfect. That's a good question. Or let me think about that. Gives you time to process.
And remember, it's totally okay to ask for clarification if you need it. Sorry, could you repeat that? Or, what do you mean exactly? Are normal parts of conversation.
Second situation, phone calls. Phone conversations seem to trigger brain blanks more than face-to-face conversations for many people.
I think it's because you can't see body language or facial expressions, so you have fewer context clues to help your brain process the conversation.
Exactly. For phone calls, I recommend having a notepad nearby where you can jot down key points. It gives your hands something to do and helps your brain stay focused.
Third situation, group conversations where everyone is talking fast and switching topics quickly.
Oh, these are the worst. You're trying to follow 3 different conversation threads while also looking for an opportunity to contribute.
For group conversations, give yourself permission to contribute simple responses rather than trying to match everyone else's pace. A well-timed, "I agree," or "That's funny," keeps you in the conversation without requiring complex language.
And don't feel like you have to contribute to every topic. Sometimes just listening actively and responding to 1 or 2 points is perfectly fine.
Fourth situation, professional conversations where the stakes feel higher.
These can be particularly anxiety-inducing because we feel like our English reflects on our competence. But remember, your colleagues or clients care more about your ideas and expertise than your grammar.
For professional situations, it can help to prepare a few key phrases in advance. Not full scripts, but phrases like, "I'd like to add," or, "From my experience," that can help you enter conversations confidently.
Now let's address something important. What if you completely blank out and can't recover? What do you do then?
Great question. First, remember that this happens to native speakers too. Everyone has moments where they lose their train of thought or can't find the right words.
Right. And it's okay to acknowledge it honestly. You can say something like, "I'm sorry, I completely lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?"
Or, "My brain just went blank for a second. Can we back up?" Most people will be understanding and help you get back on track.
The key is not to make it a bigger deal than it is. A brief moment of confusion doesn't ruin an entire conversation.
And sometimes redirecting can actually improve the conversation. You might say, "Actually, let me ask you something instead," and shift to asking the other person questions.
That's brilliant. Turning a blank moment into a chance to learn more about the other person.
Let's talk about some longer-term strategies for reducing English anxiety overall.
Good idea, because while emergency strategies are important, it's even better if we can prevent the blanks from happening as much as possible.
Strategy 1, gradual exposure therapy. Start with very low-stakes English conversations and gradually work your way up to more challenging situations.
Like starting with cashiers or baristas where the interactions are brief and predictable, then moving to longer conversations with friends, then professional discussions.
Exactly.
Each successful interaction builds your confidence and proves to your brain that English interactions aren't dangerous.
Strategy 2. Practice stream of consciousness speaking in English when you're alone. Just talk about whatever comes to mind without worrying about grammar or perfection.
Oh, I love this exercise. It trains your brain to access English spontaneously rather than only in carefully constructed sentences.
Right, you might describe what you're doing, talk through a problem you're having, or just narrate your thoughts as you go about your day.
Strategy 3. Work on your overall stress management and self-care. English anxiety is often worse when we're stressed, tired, or overwhelmed in general.
This is so important. Getting enough sleep, eating well, and managing your overall anxiety levels can significantly improve your English confidence.
And strategy 4. Celebrate small wins. Every time you have a successful English interaction, acknowledge it to yourself.
Yes, our brains are naturally wired to remember negative experiences more than positive ones, so we need to consciously reinforce the times when our English worked well.
Even small successes count. Successfully ordering food, asking for directions, or having a brief chat with a neighbor. These are all wins worth recognizing.
Before we wrap up, let's do a quick myth-busting session about English anxiety.
Ooh, good idea. Okay, myth number 1. If I were really good at English, I wouldn't get anxious.
False! Anxiety and language skill are completely separate things. I know people with near-perfect English who still get nervous in certain situations.
Right. And I know people with basic English who are incredibly confident speakers because they're not worried about perfection.
Myth number 2. Native speakers never blank out or struggle to find words.
Also false. Native speakers say and what's that word all the time. They just don't apologize for it or see it as a language failure.
Myth number 3. I need to fix my anxiety before I can improve my English.
Nope. In fact, it's often the opposite. Using your English successfully, even while anxious, is what reduces the anxiety over time.
Exactly. You build confidence through experience, not through waiting until you feel ready.
And myth number 4, other people can tell I'm anxious and judge me for it.
Most of the time, people are much less aware of your anxiety than you think they are. They're focused on the conversation, not analyzing your stress levels.
Plus, most people are understanding if they do notice you're nervous. Being a little anxious doesn't make you less likable or competent.
All right, let's wrap up with our key takeaways.
Number 1, brain blanks are normal and happen to everyone. They're not a sign that your English is bad or that you're failing.
Number 2, have emergency phrases ready to buy yourself thinking time when your brain goes blank.
Number 3, practice imperfect responses and focus on communication over perfection.
Number 4, shift from what should I say to what do I want to communicate. Focus on meaning rather than performance.
And remember, your English anxiety will improve with practice and patience. Every conversation is a chance to prove to your brain that English interactions can be positive and successful.
Don't wait until you feel completely confident to start having conversations. Confidence comes from conversation, not before it.
All right, everyone, that's a wrap for today's episode. If this helped you understand why your brain goes blank and gave you some practical strategies to handle it, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more English anxiety-busting content.
And drop a comment below. Tell us about a time your brain went completely blank in an English conversation. What happened and how did you recover? We love hearing your stories.
Next week, we're diving into English listening. Why you understand movies, but not real people. Another frustrating challenge that almost every English learner faces.
Until then, be patient with your brain, practice your emergency phrases, and remember, blank moments don't define your English ability.
See you next week, English So-So family.
Peace.